Okay, so we're gonna start. I don't remember if we finished Perek Yud and Perek Tes. I mean, or we were
We
in the middle.
started when did we didn't
I
finish
think
it.
right. So Perek. So we started off Perek Yud, Perek Tes again. Perek Tes started just went into the explanation of the famous pasuk that we say in Aleinu v'yadata hayoim. Right, you should know this day v'ashivoy solavecha ki Hashem hu Elokim. Right, Hashem is also the Elokim. Right, so he wanted to explain what's the difference between the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and the name Elokim, and why is it important to know that Hashem is also the Elokim. Right, and he took one approach, and that is that Elokim has two meanings to it. Elokim has a meaning, can be referred to a particular force or a particular authority. So that's why judges are also called Elokim, right? And of course, when we're referring to God Elokim, we mean that He is the Elokehu Elokim. He is the force behind all of the forces. He's the ultimate authority. He's the authority over all authorities, right? So that's Elokim, and Hashem is a more all-encompassing name that means who He was, He will be. He is, He will be. So it's a much more of a closer to that idea of Ein Sof, the essence of Hashem. It's as close to the essence of Hashem as we can understand. So Hashem Hu Elokim is the idea we always have to know that any particular force that exists is really part of the Hashem. It's really emanates from the one creator, and there's no disunity. Right? That's the main theme of Perek Tes. Over there, he took a detour to say that that's where the source of all Avodah Zarah comes from, is where they decided that they only saw Elokim as those separate forces, and they started at first directing their supplications to those individual forces, and then they separated that individual force from its source, and so it became Avodah Zarah. And then he attacked the rabbis, so to speak, meaning that you can't even if you see a holy human being endowed with the Ruach HaKodesh, you still cannot serve him, because that's also kind of an individual force, even though you're kind of attaching to the holiness. You're directing your what's the word? You're connecting with a certain Ruach HaKodesh that's within that person, but even still, that's still considered Avodah Zarah, because that's you are limiting that force within that individual. Okay, so that's where he stopped. Right, and he brought example of Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar, and so let's just continue from there. V'yesh lemer al pizeh. You have that? V'yesh lemer al pizeh. That's towards the end of Perek Tes. Let me. V'yesh lefarish al pizeh. 3 lines from the bottom. Okay, v'yesh lefarish al pizeh kosov. We can further understand the pasuk. Lo yeh lecho Elohim acherim al panai. There should not be to you any other gods. Al panai means on my face, meaning on, in addition to me. Rotzeloimer, that means to say shlolechavin chas v'sholem b'shum dover le'eze b'china v'koich proti. That a person cannot have kavana for any particular force in the world, for any particular authority. Afilu im yeh oisa hakoich b'chinas panai, even though that particular force has an element of panai, of my face. Hainu afilu lefrat ruach hakodesh beize odam, so even to a particular ruach hakodesh within a person. Oy prat b'chinas hakedusha beize koich ha'elyon shebelyonim. Even if you're directing your force to the the loftiest angels or the loftiest force out there in the world, to any sphera, right? Still, that's still called Avodah Zarah. That's still part of the Lo Yiyeh L'cho Elohim Acherim Al Panai, right? Like the Chachamim say in Rosh Hashanah on the pasuk Lo Tasun Iti right? Another place where Hashem speaks about Avodah Zarah, Torah speaks about Avodah Zarah, says, Lo tasun iti, do not make other gods iti, with me. What's the idea with me? Afilu demus shamoshai hameshamshim lefanai b'ma'aram. So even those that are with me, meaning those servants that are very close to me, like whatever it is, we'll talk about in the following chapters, to go in Ifanim, for example, the angels that are called Ifanim, Usrafim, V'chayis HaKodesh, meaning even though those are very, these are the generals, the leading generals up there in Shemayim, you still cannot serve them. Good. Now, how does it connect to us? V'im ki ikar azhoras hakosuf, al kol avodah zarah hanal. Now, even though when the Torah prohibits avodah zarah, right, the azhara, meaning the warning, the prohibition of avodah zarah, hainu be'arba avodas davka, the Torah officially prohibits the 4 types of service that we do to avodah zarah, which is, bringing karbonas, bowing down, right? Amnam ata, however, now she'avdus atfila, she'avodas atfila b'hishtabdus kavonas alev. But nowadays, there is no base in English and there's no karbonas, but all we have is the service of prayer, which is done b'hishtabdus kavonas alev, through subjugation of the kavona of the heart, hu b'mkoim avodas hakorban, and that is in a substitute for the service of the korban. Vadai, certainly gamal zeh shayach azhar. So certainly for that there is a prohibition against praying to any particular force. V'zeu she'omar hakosov, and this is what the pasuk means when it says zeveach le'elohim yocharam. Somebody who brings a korban lo Elohim to Elohim yocharam should be put in chayrim, meaning should be ostracized. Bilti la Hashem levade, but only to Hashem alone. Hainu. What does that mean? Shalei lechavin chas v'sholem b'shum avoda. In any kind of service, we cannot direct that service ve'inyan, and that idea le'eze koyach proti, to any particular force, any separate force. Mekoyches shekova boyres baruch, amongst the powers that HaKadosh Baruch Hu institute. Right, again, kishem elakim, because the name elakim meshutav lekol bal koyach prati sheyiyah kiyadua kasavti le'el. Right, so again, because the idea of elakim is can also refer to a particular force. Rak lechavin l'shem ha'etzma meyuchad loy. We can only have kavona to the Shem ha'etzma, the name that's as close as possible to the essence of Hashem, which is unified through it. That's designated for Hashem alone. Sheperush mehava hakol. The Yud Kei Vav Kei means mehava hakol. He's the creator of all. Hainu klola umekoyra de kol hakoyches kulam, because he is the source. He is the totality and the source of all of that exists. Right? So that's why. So he's going to speak out. V'zeu Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And this again, it comes back to this idea. This is what we say. We mean when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Rotze lo imashekol hakoyches protim. That all of the particular forces shenimshachim mehavaya baruch hu, that emanate from Yud Kei Vav Kei, blessed be He, Heima me'uchodim, they are unified, they're connected, v'nikbotzim, they're brought together, b'koycho yizbaruch shmoi, through His power, through His will. Klal mekor achduso, He is the totality and the source of complete unity. V'hu mitzad His chabruso yizbaruch im ha'olomes, through His connection, His attachment to the worlds that He created. Okay, he's going to explain this a little more. So therefore, in any place, when the Torah commands regarding sacrifices, the Torah only specified this explicitly to Yud Kei Vav Kei. Right? Come and see what it's written when it's talking about karbonos. He doesn't use the Shem Hashem El, V'lo Elokim, and then the Shem Elokim, Ela La Hashem. Right? So nobody could argue that there is an element of Avodah Zarah in Karbonis. Karbonis can only be directed to Yud Kei Vav Kei, to the totality of to the unity, to the one Hashem. That is the unity of creation. And look in all these places, and you'll see this idea brought out a little more. Okay. Right, and it just brings over here the losh on the bottom of the Zohar says that anybody, when the Beis Mikdash stood, anybody who would bring a korban to Shem Alakim would be chayav misa. Because again, from this pasuk, that only service of karbonos, and what he's saying here is service of the tefillah, can only be directed to the totality, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Mokam, right? Let's get back to this idea that where it all begins, is the idea of Mokam, which is now going to really bring out much stronger, because if you remember, right, we said that we're davening specifically. When it comes to davening, there's always this reference to Mokam. You play the Mokam, and he said very clearly, he said even though we're using Mokum to represent, it's a place. Mokum is a place where something rests, something resides, something finds its place, right? But he said that's only a moshel, right? Because when it comes to Hashem, it's not that Hashem is the place for the world. Hashem is the being out of which the entire world kind of formed itself. So through various layers and layers and layers, each layer becoming, so to speak, more thicker, more physical. So the entire creation is brought out from Hashem Himself. So Hashem is the Mokam for it, meaning it is. But really, in essence, the entire creation is Hashem, because He is the life-giving source to it. So it's like if you could imagine, like you're breathing, and let's say you breathe, and out of that breath it becomes, that breath kind of continues to become something else, and all of a sudden, like 10 layers later, that breath turned into a tangible item, but it's still constantly connected to that breath. And as soon as that you breathe in, that tangible item just gets sucked right back in. So that's the idea of Mokam, that out of totality of creation, it's all emanating from that, or what he calls, the Tzimtzum and the Kav, whatever the things that we didn't really understand. Okay, so now he's going to drive this point home, and it's going to be, so this is the last stretch. So the next kind of what we have, next 5 chapters, I think it's all the way to Yud Dalet. The next 5 chapters are going to be this one stretch of this idea of Mokum, to take it to the full level and connect it to Hashem and Elokim. So let's see. Perek Yud, right? Now, according to our explanation, where we discuss these 2 bechinas, meaning these 2 outlooks, meaning outlook from our perspective and the outlook from Hashem's perspective. Shemitzido is baruch, that from Hashem's perspective, umitzideinu, and from our perspective, shenisbaruch, that was explained above, yivoyer oid hefresh v'chiluk shebein habeis shemes Hashem v'elakim. We can understand a new layer of between the meanings of Hashem and the name of Hashem and the name of Elakim. Kishem Elokim, Perushay Bala Koiches Kula. The name Elokim again means the force on top of all forces, the authority of all other authorities, the Lord of all lords, right? Uktzas Beir in Yonoi, I'm Berei Shar Aleph. And if you go back to Shar Aleph, where we talked about really that why, right? If you remember, in the very beginning of the Sefer, he discussed what does it mean that Odom is Tzelem Elokim. Why specifically Tzelem Elokim? Right? Again, because the same idea that Elokim means the force behind all forces. So human being was the Tzelem Elokim, where he said, if you remember Shar Aleph, he was saying that everything that a person does, he is affecting everything else in the world, right? So that's the idea of Elokim. Elokim is the force behind all forces. Uketzaz beir inyon good. Ubeyoser beir inyan bala koiches. Now we're going to explain a little more. What does it mean to be force of all forces? Ki kol koyach me'atachtoin shebetachtoinim ad ha'elyon shebe'elyonim hamshochas kiyumim v'chiyusay hu al yedei ha'koyach shelamayla hemen shehu nishmosa. Let's explain. Because for every force that exists, right, me'atachtoin shebetachtoinim, from the lowest of the low, ad ha'elyon shebe'elyonim, to the uppermost that exists. Hamshachas kiyumo v'chiyusoi, its existence and its life force, hu al yidei hakoyach shulamayla himenu, comes from the force that's above it. Okay? Shehu nishmosa, which we consider as a soul to that koyach. Okay.
Level
so the entire creation is one level upon another level. But you have to realize that each level below is really it has its neshama, the level above. The level above, its neshama is the force above, and it, all the way up, and it keeps on going, where each layer is more spiritual, but it's the life-giving force of the previous layer, and so there's like this never-ending pyramid of where one layer gives sustenance, but gives its life to the next layer. Which so it's the soul, the upper layer. Each upper layer is the soul which diffuses internally to the next layer. Ukiyadu b'divrei Arizal, like it's known in the words of Arizal, shehaor upnimius nishmas kol koyach v'olam, that the light and the inner essence of the soul of each koyach, of each force, in each olam, in each world, hu atzmoi hachitzonius shel hakoyach v'olam she'olav, is the outer layer of the previous world. V'kein hoylech al zeh aseder gavoya mel gavoya bein b'chlolos hakoyachos, right? So it's like clothing, right? The whole world is like clothing. Each new layer of clothing is really the inner layer of this garment is really the outer layer of the previous garment, and so on and so forth. Ki klolei kol habruim v'koyches hatachtonim hem mehismazguz hadalad yisoydes. Now all that exists, all the creations that exist, they come from the from the mixture of the four elements, right? So we have the four elements, whatever that means, but the four elements is fire, wind, water, earth, right? So each of those elements in different layers, right? You get different other creations, just like there's RGB, right? You have red, green, and blue, and from a mixture of red, green, and blue you can get all other colors. So the four elements give you four other colors. Good. So we have the four elements. But v'shoyrish adal and yisoides, the root of the four elements, heim me'adalad hamalachim, comes from the four angels, hanikroim dalad machanei shechina, that we refer to as the four camps of the Shechina, the four surrounding camps of the Shechina. Shesimonam argamon, the simon for that. To remember what the four camps are, we use this argamon. Argamon as a fabric, as a type of wool. Argamon that was used, but argamon stands for Aleph Reish Gimel Mem, which stands for Uriel. Aleph stands for Uriel, the Malach Uriel. Reish stands for Raphael, and Gimel for Gavriel, and Mem for Michael. So that's argamon. So the four Yisoides emanate from the four Malachim, Uriel, Michael, Raphael, Gavriel, right? Vadal Malachim, and the four of these Malachim, Elu Shorshim Medalet Chayos Hamerkava, they emanate from the four, I don't call them images, but from four symbols that are located on the throne of glory, right? Shehem klole kol shorshe nafshois kol abruim atachtonim, and those provide the source for all of the souls of the living creatures that exist, right? So the Daldi studies provide perhaps the fabric, the physical element, and the four images on the Merkava provide the spiritual element. Okay. Right? How does it work out? All the myriads, millions of species of wild animals, all of the wild animals, they find their source of all the, through many levels and species, right? They find their source from the picture of the lion that's on the throne of glory. nafshos kol minei behemois, and the souls of all of the behemois, the domesticated animals, mishtalshlon mipnei shor, they emanate from the image of the ox that is on the throne of glory. V'shel kol minei ha'oifos, and all the birds, mipnei nesher, they come from the eagle that is on the throne, right? Pinchas, right? Rosa the carbonin, again, it says that the secret of carbonis, pnei shor is pashat libi'irei rucha minei, right? That the face of the shore diffuses itself to the spirit of all of the domesticated animals from it, right? So again, this is only an illustration to say that there is a hierarchy, and it's not just the hierarchy. This is what I think is illustrating again this idea of mokum, that all of this layerage is really part of that mokum, of that that Hashem. Therefore, b'chol echad moilech aleim oisaimin. So therefore, in all of these layers, I guess that this species is the central species. Because it finds its origin in the throne of glory. That the lion is the king amongst the beasts, and the ox is the king of the animals, and so on, so forth. Right? Good. So that's the animal kingdom. The Nefesh ha'adam. And what about the soul of man? Humi pnei Adam. That comes from the face of Adam, again, that's located on the throne. L'chein ha'adam mizgoy al kulam. So therefore, Adam really has lordship over all of the other species. Kikein ikoram klolam shel kol adalet pnei merkava hu pnei Adam. Because the main aspect of the four sides of the merkava is the Adam. K'moish Kosov, as it says in Yecheskel, right? Yecheskel is our place where the Novi describes this throne, the Maisa Merkava, what we call the workings of the Merkava, of the throne, of the chariot. Mus arba chayos, and from it emanates the image of the arba chayos. V'zema rehen dmus odom lehena. They had the image of an Odom to them. Good. V'ayin bezeh bezoyer Isra Odom kolul kulu. That the Odom includes all of them. Parshas Tazria, again with Mus Pneim, Parshas, again, all of these sources point to the same idea that Adam is the has lordship of all the other parts of the Merkava. The Shoresh Shel Adam, and so the source, but the root of the Adam, Humi Adam She'al Hakise, originates from the person that's sitting on the throne. Kanal Bashar Aleph Perak Vav. Right? So there is none of this is to be taken literally. None of this really means the physical lion or the physical ox or the physical eagle or the physical Adam. It's all of these is symbols to some abstract ideas. Anyways, v'shorshim v'chiyusum shel adalat chayus hum ha'olam she'aleihem, and again the root and the life force of these four chayos is from the world that's above it. V'chein ad le'elo le'elo, and it continues, I guess, ad infinitum. It continues, each layer more spiritual than the next, and so on. Okay. V'ayin b'zoyar Yisrei ta'ono b'roza ilo arba chevan is the inhu legoy. V'inun kadmoy atikin da atika kadishan tonok. So again, so he's saying that it's the same idea. Lamadnu, we learned from here, b'soid ha'elyon, in this lofty secret, arba chayos, of these four chayos, yesh shehem lefnim, they have something that's more inner than them. Ve'ein harishonos atikin ma'atika kadisha. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Okay, but the idea that he wants to bring out from the Zohar, that again there is this idea of inside and inside and inside and inside. Okay. Okay, so ein. Okay, continue. Fine. Now, so we have all this layering of these four Yisoidis, for Malachim, for Chayos, for pictures, for whatever. For V'shoyrish kol Ashroshim. But now he says like this. Now, the root of all roots, the Lehoin, of all of these elements of four, Hu Medalet Oisyo Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, comes from the four letters of the name of Hashem. Right? Yud Kei Vav Kei. V'hein Ashroshim Kadmoin. They are the early roots. Rozo de Memnusa, the secret of faith. Avon the Chula, the father of all of them. Almin, the Chulu Almin, the father of all the worlds. Hanizker bezoyha ve'erech of Gimel, Sof Ein Beis. Good. Right, so I mean, here's a very powerful idea. So just to jump to, I think what he wants to say is that he wants to illustrate really to us the power of prayer, right, and how far-reaching it is. Because if you understand that the whole world is this mokum, in other words, everything that exists because it emanates from Hashem via this linkage of force within force within force within force. And when you're praying, like he said before, we don't pray to like karbonas. He said karbonas are not to any particular force, not to Shem Elakim, but to Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, to the most essential, the totality of all force. So therefore, your prayer has the ability to reach out to the source of that life-giving force, and then like pull down this shower of that mokum, of that life, through all of those layering, right? You through your prayer have the ability to basically to reach to the source and then bring it down through all of the linkages, through all of the. So a person, when he's praying for, what I'm praying for my little thing, I need a little bit of more parnasa, but the answer is it's much more powerful than that. My little prayer for my parnasa is really the ability to drag down kind of Hashem throughout all of the layerings that exist, because I'm going up the letter and I'm coming down the whole letter. And that's why I'm specifically praying to Mokum, to that place, which again, what is place? Place is that thing that we're describing, that linkage, that whole topology of the entire creation, where each layer and upon layer upon layer, and goes back to this Yud Kei Vav Kei, that four-letter name that represents as close as possible to the essence of Hashem. Okay. And so all the particular forces and all of the species that exist, each one has a root, and root of the root, l'mayla, up and up. And again, like this, the famous statement of Chazal, there is no blade of grass in this world, that doesn't have a mazel, a constellation, or a force, berakia and shemaim, that hits it and tells it grow. Right? Shenemar hayadata chukos shemaim, as it says in the pasuk. Good. V'ayin zohar truma, v'paras k'toshim, again, more sources. Good. So what does that mean? Because that star or that constellation, who pnimius nafshe b'chiyuso b'shorshe shloisa atzemach, is the life force of that blade of grass. From there, it receives its ability to grow and blossom. Because that's its soul. And again, the root of that star or that constellation, is the angel that is appointed over it. From which that particular, so we got the malach gives the life force to the constellation. The constellation gives the life force to the plant, right? To the plant, So it's babka zarepku, repka zarepku, whatever, that whole thing. Okay. Like it says in the Zohar that upon that constellation there is an angel. And the root of the malach, again, emanates from the world that's above it. Here's an interesting twist to this. That's how a person has the ability to do what's called mashbiya, to swear, the literal translation to swear, but to control the malach via some utilization of the names of Hashem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because ki oiso Hashem hu nafshe v'chiyusay u'nehoira dilei shloisa malach. Because that name of Hashem associated with that malach is really the nefesh and the life force and the light of that malach. So if you influence the name, if connection to that name, you can control the malach. Okay? Right? So via the shame of Hashem, right? You could use it for what's called practical kabbalahs, where you could, you like Yaakov Avinu, Vayishlach Malachim as Esav El Esav. He sent the Malachim to Esav, and Rashi says these were real Malachim, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he had the ability to instruct Malachim to do his bidding because his elevated stature, he was connected to God, so therefore he had control of the authority over those Malachim. Okay, good. V'ayin Zohar Bolak, Rav Chanina, I guess Rav Chizdan, Oimer, Kol Ilin Malachim Kadishin, all of these holy angels, the Le'ela that are above, Loi Kayomin, V'lo Yochlin Lemekam, Bar Min Nohoira Ilah. They have no power of themselves except from the light that comes above it. The Nahar Loin V'Kayman, that it lights upon them and keeps them. V'Posak Minai HaNohoira De Le'ela, so if therefore if light from above disappears, Lo Yochlin Lemekam, they'll have no ground to stand upon. V'ayin eitz chaim shartzion elomas, v'akdomas Rav Chaim Vital, etc. Again, more sources. Shamalochim heim bechinas kelim, that when it comes to that light, so the malachim, they're only containers. V'hashemos heim ha'atzmos shelahem, and the names of Hashem are like the essence or the neshama, upnimius nishmosam. It's the inner soul of the malachim. V'lachein hu poil boy. Therefore, so therefore that particular name is poil boy, acts upon the malach, umanhigo, and guides him in whatever direction it wants. Just like the soul dominates the body. And all of this is continuous, is just to bring out the illustration that this is how the entire creation works. So too, the idea is for all the souls in all of the worlds. Each, even so within a person, our soul has a soul to the soul and the soul to the soul, depending on the world that it originates in. So it's called the soul of the soul. Who is Baruch Shmoy? Now we come back to the source. Who is Baruch Shmoy? And he, blessed be his name, Hu Ha'elakim Baal HaKoiches Kulam. He is the ultimate source and ultimate authority over all these forces. Shehu Nishmas V'chiyus V'shoyrish Hashroshim Shel Kol HaKoiches Kulam. He is the soul and the living entity and the root of all roots of all of these forces. That's what we say in the pasuk. Be'ata mechaya es kulam. You give life, give sustenance to all of them, right? Chei ha'olam, we call them. Kol rega mamash. Every single second, every single moment, anything that exists takes its breath, takes its life force from Hashem. V'lechein nikrahu yizborach nishmosa dechol nishmosin, the soul of all souls, ve'ikra v'shorsha dechol almin, the essence and the root of all that exists. Right, good. So good. So he illustrated to us in this chapter. He illustrated to us the totality of creation, how it really, through all of the layerings, it emanates from Hashem. Okay. Let's just start the next chapter so we could get the picture. We have 1 more minute anyways. V'inyan ki yadua b'zohar, and the idea as it is known in Zohar, shehu yizborach v'dibur echad. This is quite amazing over here. That Hashem and His Word is one. Right? We cannot separate Hashem from His Word, whatever that means to us. I mean, right? When I say something, right? When I say something, I'm not. Me and my word are not one entity. My word is just something that belongs to me, that came out from me. But me and my word is not one thing, right? Even if I speak from the bottom of my heart, right, and really bring out my really what I'm thinking to the deepest, but it's still, me and my word are two different entities. Hashem is not like that. His essence, so to speak, comes out from his words. Okay? This is v'chol dibur u'maymar shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'maaseh b'reishis. So now we know that the way Hashem created the world, He created the world through His speech. So now that becomes a whole different twist. Everything that Hashem said when He created the world, it's another way of saying Hashem is His speech, is Him. He emanated into this creation via His speech. She'omar vayehi, He said, and it was. Hu Nefesh v'chiyus oisa hadover shenivra bo. So therefore, each Maimar Bereshis, each of the Asara Maimaris, each of the 10 sayings with which Hashem created the world, that's the essence of Hashem that emanated through this speech into the and became the creation. So all of the myriads of the species that resulted, with the constellation that are appointed over everything that exists, and the angels that are appointed over the constellations, and the sources of the angels, and the roots of those roots, all of those things, they emanate from the speech that was recorded to us in Parshas Bereshis. And from there, all until the end of days, Dvoroi is Baruch, His word, Nitzav Bahem Leha'iram Ulekaimim Kol Rega. His word remains there in eternity and continues to give life sustenance to everything that exists. B'chol Prote Inyaneim, and all of its details, V'shinu'eim, and all of the transformations, V'sidur Matzovim, and all of the different arrangements of their existence. Right? So v'lechein, therefore, b'chol ha'eser ma'amoros le'niskar rak shem Elokim. So therefore, the only name that's used in the creation and the description of the Bereshis is the name Elokim, because again, that's the name she'oisa ha'maimar hu bal ha'koiches she'oisa ha'dover, because that speech is really the life force of that thing that was created. And all of the species that resulted as a result from that speech. That's really the Nefesh, called Proti Chelkehem. So again, the speech that created everything is really, again, Hashem's essence, because because Him and His speech is one entity. So therefore, that's this idea, that's that Mokum, that is that Mokum out of which everything that was kind of blown into existence. However, right now we're just not able to see with our physical eyes, flesh and blood, how that word of Hashem is diffused in all of creations. Okay, and he's going to continue that lost love. We're going to have that ability. We will see together in the future that the mouth of Hashem has spoken. So in the future, we will see the spiritual force that is sustaining the physical entity. But until now, we don't have that ability. But we know from the description of the Torah, because of this idea from the Zohar that Hashem and His speech is one. So therefore, the essence of Hashem that came out through that speech is what's holding this world together and what's giving its life force. Okay, pause here.